I just needed to restart Lightyear on my session.
So the purpose of this session is to go through the release interlock page and make sure that all the milestones look reasonable with some of the events, and make sure we try to catch all the events. And figure out when the testing needs to happen from the manual side as well as the smoke testing side to line up so that we have some coherency. Is Brendan here? Or Ara? Do we have anyone from CERT?
No CERT, no QA.
Lovely, we may not have problem. Okay.
So this should work better now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's do a quick pass and then. Ara's here. Good.
Sorry,
We
we're
have-
late. Was
Yeah, we're all.
Oh, it's 11 again. Don't go away. I think it's pop.
Look, we need another projector in here.
Sorry?
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay, so the purpose here is basically to go through that release interlock slide. And if people are curious about the specific, release interlock. This one. I'll paste it on here, okay? Is there anyone on the IRC channel? Looks like we do. What? Hi. Hi, David. Okay. You think the dog's freeze is too late, only 3 days for translation? Okay. That's what we're here to, those are the sorts of things we're here to talk about, definitely. Okay. Put those, if you could put those comments on the pad, Jeremy, that'd be cool. We've got the up right now.
You can also show
yeah.
the interlock page.
Yeah, if you could show the interlock page, that'd be great. So this is what we've got right now.
So just all the history, top items.
Yeah. Yeah, the 2 top items are happening right now. The SRU team has basically put in the proposed schedule for this cycle for themselves. And so and then what we need to do is basically get when the CERT testing and the QA testing is, and get that adding in, and see if we can get some patterns changed a little bit for some of the things that didn't quite go as we would like this time around. So the one I'd like to sort of scroll down to and see how we're lining up for.
So are these Harvey, Lucid, Medi, etc., are these the kernel, the regular kernel updates?
Yeah, that's the regular kernel updates.
The 3-week cadence.
Yeah,
Right.
on the 3-week cadence. And you guys are happy that 3-week cadence is going to continue to work, okay? You're not going to change the cadence this cycle? Okay. Awesome.
Good.
You're good.
Finally
Yeah.
found the sweet spot.
Although we
Yeah.
are lining up nicely with releases this cycle. it looks
So
like.
yeah, so it looks like the kernel so the kernel freeze will be getting that for you guys when we come in on July 5th for 12.4.1.
Say again.
The kernel for July, so the kernel for 12.4.1 comes in when? When do you guys kernel freeze effectively for that one, using that cadence?
Well,
So this is
looking at the cadence, it would be the July 5th
Okay.
set, but it looks like it's a week too late.
So this is like preparation, replication, regression. So yeah, it seems that like this P here is a week too late at least. So it would need to happen here, or we postpone this cycle for precisely.
Well, we have flexibility in some ways to, like I say, the worry right now about moving precise down 1 week is the fact that the Alpha 3 is following pretty closely to August. And we'd have to
Right. So basically, either we would need to have this cycle be shorter, like this cycle be shorter, or release it a week after.
No, we can because we can't smoke test it. That's week.
Yeah, so we have to get the
Okay.
QA side being smoke tested effectively. Okay. So areas to work.
So I'll just point out that, it's really lucid, Moneric, and precise that we'll really be getting the updates.
Uh-huh.
Hardy and Natty's end of lifing, so
Yeah.
it's not going to get very much except really critical CVEs, same with Hardy. So chances are we'll go several cycles and there won't be any updates to those.
Okay.
So that helps a little.
Do we potentially want to choose the precise kernel start of July, just call that like a freeze point? And just not include the latest one you're working on?
Like we released this one.
Yeah. You basically take the one that comes out at alpha 2 time frame, and then we basically call that our kernel freeze for 12.4.1.
Well, one option would certainly be if there is, like, to not have non-security updates in the cycle, and then potentially not put the dash security kernel on the images. If you want to keep the cadence and that time, then basically skip the non-security parts in the cycle.
Do we want to look potentially moving alpha 3 down a week?
It's going to get pretty close to beta.
Well, it's like I say, we still have 2 weeks before feature freeze, right?
It's a long time between alpha 2 and 3.
Well, we could, like I say, we can look, we can't move alpha 2 onto the July 5th week, that just won't work. Too many
Yeah.
vacations that week.
I wouldn't try to adjust the whole cycle just because of this one conflict here. But, unless, of course, it also conflicts with like public holidays or Easter or whatever.
19th seems to be reasonably okay because no one we've got some holidays to dodge basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
But
And then
This
this
time,
is so big because August is their clock.
Well-
basically, it's only alpha 3 and feature 3, beta 3, which is okay.
well, as a thought, why not move Alpha 1 to May 31st and then bump all the releases up a week? Milestones up a week. That way we should dodge all the holidays and still have a nice period between. Just means Alpha 1's going to be coming on us really quick. But it's not the first time we've ever done that.
Any possibility of moving 12.4.1 1 week?
Yeah, the possibility, the problem is it's going to run into the testing. The testing for alpha 3.
Right.
That basically, those guys.
Yeah, so we have a lot to recertify for 12.4.1, so moving it a little bit down, we're going to conflict a lot with Alpha 3 because basically it takes at least 2 weeks for us to recertify everything.
Does
And-
recertification happen like afterwards, like in this time, or like in
Yeah.
this time?
After that, after it gets moved.
But you're also being asked to certify
Before.
Yeah, like we need
the
pre-certification
queue
testing.
back for the kernel.
Yeah, but that will only happen when the queue gets released.
No, yesterday.
Yeah, no, we will be testing it.
Oh, okay. It's
Not-
not,
not
it's not,
cer- certification
it's not a
and
full cert pass, you're saying?
Yeah.
It's
some testing.
not, yeah, it's not official.
I
And
know.
12.4.1 is official, so we
No, I
have to
understand.
So can you put where you are, can you color code into the column for the cert testing? Where you're doing the official testing and when you're doing the smoke testing effectively? So we know the windows that are happening.
Okay.
I can say from my perspective, the later the cycle 12.4.1 happens, I'll be happy.
The other note with 12.4.1 is we do have at least one additional image possibly going in with it. So it's going to be a fairly more involved point release than normal.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I'd like to have at least 2 weeks. I like it in between 2 milestones to maximize the amount of time I've got to deal with it because we're going to have to tinker with parts of Debian CD that normally don't get tinkered with.
I mean, for us, I think 12.4.1 is certainly more important than Alpha 3.
Yeah.
Well, here's one other thought.
Do we want to drop having an alpha 3?
Well,
2 alphas, 2 betas. That's
So we did this cycle.
I mean, I'm not very insistent on it. I mean, it seems like, at least in Precise, we had lots of people running the daily updates, basically. But of course, it's still the question is how much we want to test like the installer and the installer in conjunction with the kernel for this. But it seems that the need for these have been alleviated with, us being better at data quality.
Yeah, I chose reading a large.
But the thing
Well,
is,
this is the first cycle out of LTS, which means all the breakage goes in this one. It's history. Intrepid had it, Edgy had it. The first cycle after an LTS is almost guaranteed to break something.
well, the thing is, with our new vision of sort of rolling
We
releases,
don't do this anymore.
alphas are less important because, we should work on a daily basis, right?
Well, I mean, it's still true that like during the milestone releases, we tend to discover a lot of installer bugs, which we just didn't happen to pick up for automatic testing. So I think it's still important to have the alphas, mostly for installer testing now. I don't think they are so important anymore to test new kernels and test the system in general, because that now happens on a daily basis.
In addition, if any new ARM platforms go in, which I don't know for the cycle as of this date, that means that if a new ARM platform is going to come in, it would probably appear between Alpha 2 and Alpha 3, which means, as it is right now, which means I won't be having images all the way until, an actual milestone until Beta 1. I would be more tempted to drop Alpha 1 and go, but that doesn't really solve the problem.
Well, I don't know about desktop flavor, but server flavor, Alpha 1 is never really meant anything.
Alpha 1's
Basically,
mostly...
Alpha 1 is this kind of a compulsive works kind of thing. So it's the first time when like the old things settled and we want to have some tests. So in the past we used it mostly for testing the new kernel. And also when we had radical changes to the installer, since they don't seem to happen that often anymore. I agree that Alpha 1 is probably one we can most easily dispose.
I mean, our Alpha 1 is so useless in my mind that in previous releases we even released Alpha 1 before UDS. I mean,
We've done it during UDS, I remember that.
Mountain View, we did it the week before UDS, I think it was.
And if I remember correctly, we did it...
We've evolved significantly in complexity since then.
The other good thing about Alpha 1 is that during any cycle rev, we have to move some scripts around and do some fudging with the image build infrastructure, so it's a good smoke test to make sure the entire thing's running end to end. I'm not against losing it, but I'm just noting that.
Yeah, I unless we have a compelling reason, I think leaving it there for right now, I'm not hearing a compelling reason to take Alpha 1 out, but I think we have a problem figuring out the positioning of 12.4.1 and Alpha 3. And I'm wondering, can we shift both? I think maybe can we shift both of them down a week?
I mean, I see no problem at all for this for Alpha 3.
Yeah.
I mean, Alpha 3 should have like. I don't predict a lot of trouble with Alpha 3. I mean, usually the more intrusive changes happen by Alpha 2, like say new architectures, new kernels, and
So
China and whatnot.
let's try moving.
And by this time we have like stable plus one team kicking in. And
Let's move Alpha 3 down,
hang on.
and let's move the other one down. Get it going this week.
Moving Alpha 3 later decreases the window for feature freeze.
Not really.
no, right?
Because
I mean,
currently
feature freeze
there's
is still-
21 days.
No, we are not saying
We're not
to
touching
move
that.
this one. We want to move feature freeze, just have Alpha 3 here instead of
Next week, the following
like
week.
the
Yeah,
total
yes.
number of feature development.
No, I'm saying the window between Alpha 3 and feature freeze is then shrunk.
That's right, but the window between
Until
now
the beginning.
and Alpha 3 is
Still the
increased
same.
by the same amount.
Yeah.
So you still have the very same number of days to do feature development from now.
Yeah, we're not changing the number of days to do feature development. All we're doing is basically
Just a
when
snapshot,
we're doing the publishing. So let's move that one down, and then let's try moving
12.1 to July 26th. So.
and then that will give you guys. You can keep with your cadence and your weekly.
Yeah,
So
it
what-
looks like it would line
Go.
up for regression testing.
So yeah, as soon as we.
Well, there's an extra
Is there
printer.
anything you want to implement?
I just wanted some indications from you about what has to happen with the server, and is that 12.4.1 sitting there even feasible, or did was it going to try to be moved to September?
That gives us like just over a month, right? Oh, no, it's July.
Got another week right now.
I would prefer it to be later, but that's going to hurt other people, so.
So the other option we could possibly look at is moving Alpha 3 here and moving 12.04.1 just before the feature freeze, because this cycle we did 12.04.1.
Actually, that would work really well if 12.4.1 and feature freeze were very close together. I think
Okay.
Like against the backbone.
Okay, so what we probably want to do is move Alpha 3 up then.
See where you're going with this. This is something I would really like to avoid because this week is always a crazy rush here.
Yeah. so most
And I
people-
don't think it's
So I
good to
think
place
that's
any
related
kind
to
of
the
image
cluster.
in. No, so I would keep this totally free of
Well,
images.
but then we still have to intersect for this one then. So we're still missing out a second.
Yeah. So I'd put it like a no to this week Friday release.
What?
Yeah, I wouldn't like to release anything this week. But
What about during feature fees week?
that's not exactly better. But
Well, we did it, like I say, because
Yeah.
there's different skills going on there.
Actually, no, during Feature Freeze Week, it's actually not all that bad because the archive, development work slows down.
What?
Well, I shouldn't say slows
Feature
down.
fees I know. Like,
Let me
people upload
rephrase
packages
that.
Like crazy.
Yeah, but it's a different set of focus points.
On the release team, Feature
Right.
Freeze life gets a little easier. I mean, we start with approving FFEs, but that won't be until Friday. And if the FAEs sit in the queue until Monday, no one's going to really get all that upset. So I'm actually tentatively favorative of moving 12041 because that also works better for me because that gives me more lead time for the amounts of evil that I'm putting into that release.
Well, I guess in general it's always true that the later you release, the better it is. But at some point it gets closer to 12.
I don't think Ubuntu ages like good wine. It's
But yeah,
Now,
That will limit.
I think I'm going to get smacked for this question, but is there the possibility that we can enable 12041 daily images at some point so I can have regular snapshots of updates?
in fact, we have been doing this all the time.
We don't do it-
From proposed and yeah,
No, building images?
yes, no, daily. From proposed usually, and then at some point we switch them over to updates only. But this is what we have done.
We don't do it continuously. We only do it in the weeks leading up to a point.
In the weeks leading up to that point, yes.
I would like to actually switch that to continuous with updates. And
There's a
updates only.
technical reason why we couldn't. We just didn't do it because so far nobody really cared about these images before.
The reason I'm caring is that there is at least one platform so last cycle we had a post LTS hardware enablement, and unfortunately when we say hardware enablement and ARM in the same sentence, that means new image.
Well, I mean, especially because now we have all this nice Jenkins infrastructure, I would actually also vote for keeping them on a daily basis because it's an additional thing which can cache regressions and propose and updates. Suddenly the images start to fall over.
In addition, since we replaced antimony, we actually have disk space, so that's going at an alarmingly fast rate.
Well, it's not a matter of the space as much as it's a matter of having built-in power for images, but this shouldn't be a problem. It's fast enough now.
And we've got our image builds faster now.
Yeah, I mean,
And apparently we're going to be killing a lot of images this cycle, so.
yeah. So I don't think there's any reason not to have daily images for precise propose and updates.
So the question is, when do we want to throw the switch on that?
Because essentially you need to do the daily testing of the precise ISOs and the quantum ISO.
Well, I'm not saying that dailies have to be constantly tested, but
I think we
if,
should. We should.
I'm saying they should, but I wouldn't be heartbroken if we didn't.
Well, no, if we're
I
going to
think,
keep them
yeah.
on, I want them tested.
I
Okay,
think the main thing of having it is testing them, so.
okay.
So as long as our machinery can keep up with testing
Like,
multiple releases.
what we might want to do is stagger them such that the regular development happens at one point of the day, and then the testers go through them, and then 4.1 goes to another part of the
Oh.
day, testers go through those.
The cron tab's going to get scarier.
Yeah, I know. So we've
As
got...
if they weren't already. I think at some point we probably need to replace them by something more dynamic and just see whatever we have some free capacity.
At some
built in.
point, the cron job is going to get freaking sentience and come mill us down. What is it, 30 lines now?
I mean, this is all pretty nice that we have a totally different build pipeline in head than we actually use on the production machine.
No.
But I think at some point we need some more abstraction there with a different topic.
No, I know, just bring it down so we don't forget, because it's important. I agree with you.
That cron,
Like we need more like a textual declarative thing of what are the things you want to build, and then some magic goes ahead and just builds them all every day.
I smell a work item in here.
Yeah, I'm spelling work items in here too. Okay. Did I test it?
Another point I'd like to
So-
bring up before we finish the session, it's about the translations deadlines.
What?
Translations deadlines on the
Yeah,
schedule.
and documentation guidelines, right.
Yeah, I think, right now we've got two of them. We've got translations deadline like earlier and the final one. And I think that's still mostly for historical reasons because it took quite a lot of effort before to basically package all the translations that weren't supported in language packs. Now that we've got less and less packages that need extra work, so I think it would make sense to merge and just merge
Merge
both
the
deadlines.
deadline?
Exactly, and just
Okay.
have the final deadline.
Yeah.
Merge them into one, just make a general translations deadline.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So generally, we've got one which is a week earlier, and then the
Actually.
final one. Then I just take the final one.
I don't know Jack and how Rosetta works, so I'll just take your word for it.
Okay. So merge translation deadlines. So do you have a proposal of what you want to see?
Sorry.
Do you have a proposal of what deadlines you want to see? Can you go onto the Interlock and edit what the deadlines you want to see for the translation communities are?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking of the stable release, not the point releases, because we usually don't advertise like deadlines for point releases.
Can you go a little closer?
Yeah.
I'm having trouble hearing you with the projector behind my head. Sorry.
So yeah, I mean, I can add a proposal for Q basically.
Okay.
For the interlocks, for all the releases, we don't usually
Right.
advertise. I mean, we do release language packs, but we don't really advertise deadlines.
Okay.
Oh, I thought this would happen on the. Oh, you don't? I thought this would happen on the.
Oh well, we do for the language packs. Yeah, I was just thinking of point releases.
Oh wait.
Yeah, I mean, ideally we should add the language pack schedule to the interlocks perhaps.
Yes. We can. It's on the main one, and it actually, if you can bring it up, I think it's actually there. If you look at the Interlock,
Yeah.
it's there. We've got the translation deadlines at the bottom, non-language pack translation deadline and language pack translation deadline.
Well, these are for Quantal.
Yes, and we need to, and the question then becomes is when do we want them on there for channel 4.1?
For travel 4.1, yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's
it's like-
if you go to, there's a page for the 1204 page. The sessions release schedule has spots to put these in as well. And there's some questions there.
Language pack translation deadline. Right.
Is that one reasonable there for you?
Of course, we need to update this page soon.
Yeah,
But
I
just
know,
so, like,
but
relatively
it's
speaking,
it's spacing reasonable there.
2 weeks before the actual release would be the translation deadline, and then we have a week to build the packages and test them, and with some spare time in case we need to do it again, and then. Yeah.
Is that reasonable?
That sounds reasonable. The only thing I need to check is that the automatic exports from Launchpad are set up so that they match that date.
Or match the date after we finish adjusting it.
Yeah. So like this is now wrong. So I think it's
So
so the final freeze translation pack deadline would be August 9th.
All right. Okay.
Well, actually, it would be, actually, no.
Well, this
Oh, yeah,
is
right,
this
right.
is the release week of Java 4.1.
It
This
would
is
be,
like
it would be 2
present.
days prior to August 9th, so that we actually have a final freeze, it's final freeze.
Yeah.
So it would all be August 6th.
Well, I mean, mine is okay. I mean, it's 2 weeks before the release, so it takes us a day to build like.
Well, then we call final freeze on Sunday. I like to say, we want to have the final freeze being a final freeze, and having the language pack show up after the final freeze, and we define that the final freeze is not a final freeze by default by doing that. So we have to.
Oh, final freeze is 2 weeks long.
Right, final freeze is 2 weeks long, because we're going to basically
Oh, okay.
try
Oh,
to
well,
get.
I had a question mark there.
Yeah, and trying to get
Well-
all the release notes and all the other stuff, because this is going to have a lot more complex story.
Right.
With Final Freeze, that's going to cause a slight problem being 2 weeks long, because that means we cannot SRU the archive.
And not release the kernel.
Yeah, there's no way Final Freeze for the point release can be 2 weeks long.
Because the kernel gets released a week before the
The
new.
kernel gets released a week, but the kernel's getting released a week before.
Exactly. So the kernel hits at August 16.
Okay, file freeze has to be the week before.
Okay, you don't think it's enough to have 1 week of final freeze? I mean, it's already SRU, so there's only like a
Yeah.
high barrier.
There's too much new stuff coming in, that's the problem.
Well, we could yeah, this is a real problem because well, actually, it wouldn't be so new because if, based off what I've heard, I should have, now that we have established we're going to have daily images for the point releases, I should have images before the end of June, and then those will just track normally. They just become officially part of the release and supported at the point release.
Like,
So-
or you would have dailies well before that.
We'll have dailies. This is the Calzada stuff,
And we're
which...
working under the assumption that like all the dailies are tested and actually work.
Yeah, so I'm actually thinking we could squeak by. I mean, I'm still thinking 5 days without SRUs could be really painful, but there's no real way around that if we want to have an actual final
Yeah,
freeze,
I mean,
which is a good
5
thing.
days is, I think, just about the minimum you can
I'd say it's more the maximum.
have as a freeze. But, yeah, right, it might be a maximum at the same time, but I also think it's the minimum in terms of.
Now, the other thing is someone needs to talk to the security team because the security team does not go for the updates queue, and they can CV with abandon, and that could cause freeze entry. That could cause interesting freeze and stress. Wow, there's days where I can speak and there's days where I can't.
Yeah, but I mean, you can basically have security updates all the time. I mean, if they don't make it to the image, that's okay. You get them post-installed.
No, I don't disagree, but it makes respins.
Thanks. Thanks,
That's
okay.
fine.
So we
I'll
just
put
did
an
one
action item
deadline.
on me to check in the date. For
Okay.
nations and to propose.
The other question I had for you on language packs, before you hide that, is we've got the language pack translation deadline and the non-language pack translation
Yeah.
deadline. Do we still want to keep that distinction?
That's exactly what I meant before, so I think I would suggest just merging them and just having this the final one.
And just having this the final one? Okay, and you will take care of the socializing of all that?
Translators would be happy to
Okay.
have just one because it's confusing for them. The only
Yeah,
challenge is
also-
that we've got, sorry.
Yeah, okay, so also it's a bit obsolete because it actually takes less time to turn around to build a non-language pack translation bit. So for those, you just need the package to build, and for the others, you need the import, export,
Exactly,
turnaround to happen.
yeah.
Which is usually like a day or more.
I mean, the only challenge there is sometimes that there's less and less packages which need manual work, but still you have to chase translators. You have to chase developers sometimes because it affects the installer, it affects the slideshow, it affects some packages which are not supported in language packs. That's the only challenge. In terms of translations community, they will be happy to just have one date and it will be less confusing for them.
Okay.
And especially they will have an extra week to translate all those packages which were previously like on the back deadline.
Okay, so wiki page updates need to happen, and we'll have to update the schedule, and I'll work with you to make sure we get that
Yeah.
cleaned up.
Yeah,
Fine.
I'm happy to get any
Yeah.
work ready for that. What Jeremy was mentioning earlier on as
Yes.
well was the documentation freeze as well.
It's too late.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be all up for moving it earlier so that
Okay.
it's all on the same deadline, but I'm not sure if documenters would have the time to do their work. That's the only thing, but I think that's, Jeremy, if you are hearing us, perhaps you can comment on that. He was on IRC earlier on. Oh no, he's just going now.
Yeah, no. Okay, so with the fact that we've moved the translation deadlines and we've added more weeks, do we leave the documentation date alone, or should we try to move it early? So the schedule, the issue is the docs freeze. We blew through the docs freeze this time around. And
But we're at the
realistically, we're actually tighter this time than we were last time. It's right after beta 2, right with the kernel freeze and final freeze. I don't think we really have any more windows to pull it earlier. I'd say having docs freeze with beta 2 would be painful.
Yeah, especially like given the number of FFPs we tend to get. And
Yeah.
so I
Right.
think this is a 1 week after beta 2, and I don't think we can move it any
And
earlier.
then we're getting rid of the
Yeah.
non-language pack translation deadlines and just
Yeah.
having that one.
So translators are getting actually an extra week because documentation, the deadline for documentation was the non-language pack deadline.
Okay.
So that'd be fine.
That will work? Okay.
Without doing any changes to the stream first.
Okay, great. Yeah, anything happening from the community side? We need to worry about factor into this.
So 360 is September 24. Should be totally fine.
Okay.
361 is October 15. Okay.
You're not gonna get that one.
So yeah, for normal 361s, the release cycles once again are too short. Yeah. So it would be 3 days before the release, and I guess it looks like this time we need to SRU 3.6.1 in its entirety. Well, it's October 15th and October 18th is final release.
So,
No.
SRUs?
No. I want the images.
No, SRUs.
I smelled SRU.
I just want a second.
Huh?
Okay.
Sorry?
We smelled SRUs.
Yeah, well, I think 3.6.1 will be an SRU then.
Yeah, I know the
Yeah.
I thought the release would be like 1 week later. Something.
Yeah, well, it tends to be a little shorter than it used to be since March break or so, but
Actually, we've got it closer and closer back.
actually, yeah.
It's actually, we're at 25, 27, and we're looking at, not this cycle, the following cycle, so you get back to 26, 26. The
But I mean,
total is 4 days.
evening the two halves is not the same as moving the whole cycle 1 or 2 weeks
Yeah.
later. So because we used to
I know
release
Scott-
at the end of April and end of October, and we never had...
We got screwed up when we decided to make 10-10-10.
Yeah, and from then on, we never really got back to the old end of month
Not
release.
closer, but yes.
Yeah, have to SRU with that.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Jean-Baptiste, moving the testing, 1204.1 instead is, what will that be better for testing?
Yeah.
It will be, okay. That looks like it's a good one. Same for you, Ara?
Yeah.
You could adapt.
If alpha 3 also goes down. So the idea is to move 1204.1.
To feature freeze and leave alpha 3 project where it is.
Oh, you're,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, so it gets it out of the way.
So,
And before beta. And you're still cooking for beta. Okay, any,
So we would go with the July 26th precise kernel?
no, yes, you would go with the July 26th precise kernel.
Sorry?
Yes.
Isn't that the time when we upload the proposed here?
Yeah, that will be the one that will be kernel freeze. July 26th will be kernel freeze.
Yeah.
Or really, I thought we would release 12.1 with this kernel here
No.
from August 9th.
That's, so it goes.
That August 9th kernel is the one that goes in on, goes into proposed. This is the one that goes into proposed here.
And this is the release, right?
Yeah, that's the
So
one.
it would be an update here, and we release 12.1 here, so there's 2 weeks between
Yeah.
them. So this would be the 12.1
Yes,
kernel, right?
yes, the one that
Not
emerges.
this one.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Let's put that down.
So, yeah, 12.1 kernel is the one from August 9th.
Yeah, the one that comes out of testing.
Is that
Right,
Right.
so barring major regressions.
Right.
I just have to tell people that they've got to get what they log in
Right.
by the July 5th.
And make sure to not break this one.
Yes, there can't be any regressions.
So all the ARM stuff has to be in by July 5th.
Well,
oh,
No, I'm,
I don't know.
I don't
No,
know.
well, I don't think you want to test anything major new in this kernel line, so everything should be
Yes.
tested before we run all the stuff.
Okay. Ricardo, from Lenaro's perspective, is there anything that's going to be interacting here? This guy.
I'm all fine. I'm all happy.
You're all happy.
He's happy now.
Well, the deadlines itself is not that I'm not that worried about it. Mostly regarding the .1, that might be coming some ARM things, but mostly for Calzetta, so I'm all fine.
Well, we still have the point 2,
Yeah.
which was originally when we were playing the LAN area thing, but suddenly we got hardware, and so we're going to make a push for point 1. Do we want to, actually, that's a very good point though. Since we're moving point 1, do we want to adjust point 2?
Can
we
we
can
move
adjust.
that as well? Or?
Yeah, we can, actually, we can look at moving it if there's a compelling reason. But we'll probably end up having that discussion in the next CDS.
But I
It'd be
mean, so
nice-
we're moving 12.1 back for 3 weeks. I mean, give like in 6 months' time, this is not all that significant.
We have it, the first one's a bit short, it's only 3 months after, and then it's 6 months after.
Right. So I don't think we need to move 12.2
Yeah.
because of this. So we would move it for other reasons, but
When is going to be the dot 2?
If
say
you're
like
in the
March, April, something.
It's midway in our cycle.
Yeah, like February, March.
It's showing, it shows up, the date shows up if you look under precise schedule and scan down, you
Cool.
can see when the 2 is.
So what we came to was that we'll have daily images for these boards when we finally get them all SRU'd, but they do not become supported until we pass a point release.
The color? January 31st.
Okay. It's pretty far away.
So it's like midway between Quantal release and
Yeah, we're gonna review it anyway on next
Okay.
UDS then, so.
Yeah, we'll fine tune that one next UDS.
Rocking Rabbit, that's what I'm gonna call it.
Okay, so I think,
Spaceman Shuttleworth.
No, that's 2 cycles from now.
I know, but
anything coming in from the Unity side or from the community, anything from the community side that might impact these?
so for Quantal, I think it's way too early to predict.
Okay.
But I mean, since we have this like 2 weeks release cadence and rolling release quality, then so any problem that turns up is not a problem that we can already predict at this time, I think.
Okay.
Do you have the list of kind of the
And I mean, if there is a problem, then we would just skip that release and release with the one core, because by definition we should now always have a releasable Unity in the archive. So whenever something breaks, we just stop updating.
But do we know already the list of things that have like feature freeze exception already at the moment, like we had in the past for?
Well, there's a few packages that always get them, like Wine will get one without fail, but
Yeah, I mean, Unity pretty much gets them because now we have all this acceptance criteria wall, but
Yeah, the only thing that scares me is Unity, as usual. But
yeah, but I mean, well, at least I see the vulnerable release team and these feature freeze exceptions not so much as we always have to say no, but more like we need to
No, I know,
limit
I know.
so that we can make it happen.
yeah,
And especially, I mean, in the old days, Unity just always got like approval from high above, but at least now we have the processes in place to make sure that these FFEs are sensible, safe. So
there's
we will still get those, and eventually we want to have this rolling release kind of thing.
yeah.
Of course, it's still a special case, but I mean, mere mortals can hardly change this, I think.
That's okay. And we're gonna probably have starting at least the bootstrap of the new ARMv8 architecture. So, but I don't think we're gonna. It's probably gonna be a tech preview or something like that, so we're not blocked by anything.
we're spinning up a new ARM architecture?
Yeah, V8.
Yeah. When?
This
Because
cycle.
well, the main reason is if you're going to spin up an architecture, you do not want the builds. You want the builds to drain by the final release, or else binaries get rejected after final release. That was a
That's
long-standing
why
issue.
we're not that sure how far we can go still, because we don't have hardware. We just have ARM-fast models. So
We're not going to have a full bootstrap for
Yeah.
RMD in 12.10.
just starting and
You just build it.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to be drained, things will get rejected, we just won't care about that.
Well, what concerns me is then when you start up the next cycle, new build records are not created because they were attempted to build in the last cycle. This was an issue with Itanium and PowerPC.
Which just means that we have to manually, honestly, we don't have, there are going to be no native build dates for that this cycle. The only things that are getting built are the few things that we can actually cross-compile, and I don't think we're going to put anything in the archive until we actually have something we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna see there's a lot of gray area in that front because it's not a completely approved ARM yet, but it might become something, but it's just tech preview, so we're not blocking by it.
And the worst case is even if we did start to restart it at the archive for 1210, which is unlikely, we would just re-upload it.
Yeah, I was just slightly concerned when I heard the words in archive and this. I just wanted to flag the obvious issues before they became issues. But ARM64, I want to drool.
Okay, so other things that probably still need to get added to the interlock is community events. We talked about GNOME.
I'll check KDE.
You'll add KDE?
I'm going to check the schedule, I'll give you an idea. I'm not so involved with Ubuntu anymore, so I can't give this
So
specific.
like the 3.0 should be fine, it doesn't conflict anything, so we'll get this in easily, but September 26th doesn't seem to come. Hang on, let's push the size.
If they're
September
web-
26th doesn't seem to collide with anything. Okay, it's the beta week, but I mean, can that after beta.
Okay.
It's not a big deal.
Come on. KDE's website's running extremely slow, so bear with me.
Anyone else know any other projects we should be cross-linking into here that might impact things? I'm thinking like Firefox, LibreOffice.
So,
Firefox always has the molding release.
yeah, Firefox, connect a random number generator to the archive and you'll have a pretty good idea. So KDE 4.9 final release is August 1st, so that'll make it in. They'll also get 4.9.1 on October 2nd, so that's probably not going in. But they will get 4.9.
Well, October 2nd is the week after beta 2.
Oh, they may get that. So 4.9 guaranteed, 4.9.1 likely, 4.9.2 and onward will be SRUs.
Yeah,
So-
like 4.9.1, I don't see a problem why it should not go in.
Yeah, my mind and dates are not currently cooperating. Hasn't been enough caffeine. Okay, so
491 will go in.
if, yeah, 4.9.1 unless there's,
What's the date on that one?
4.9.1 final release is October 2nd. And then from that point on, the rest will be SRUs.
No, it's October 2nd. how's
Yeah,
that?
it's like after beta 2.
Okay, or before.
But since it's like the ones are mostly bug fixes
Yeah.
for both KDE
And 4.9 will be in August, so plenty of time.
Okay, good then. Well, I think then that's, anything else of anyone else thing to bring up? Or we finish? Yep.
Yeah, is there any particular reason why the wallpapers lens DCD is so late?
The what?
Wallpaper.
Wallpapers.
Wallpapers, right, thank you. Yes.
Soft spot.
Yes.
Because for screenshot and documentation,
Do we,
also the
do we want to
size
put a separate-
documentation has the numeric wallpaper.
we want to put a separate milestone in for when the wallpapers must have landed and start introducing that concept and socializing that concept.
I'm sort of,
Docs freeze is when it should have been, I think.
I
I think
don't,
that might be still too late here this time around.
my gut says the wallpaper free should be for Alpha 1, so it's consistent throughout the entire cycle.
I don't,
I'm saying what my gut's saying, but, you know, I like to have a consistent look and feel throughout the cycle, but it's gotta be with UI freeze at the very latest. Because once we freeze the UI, you know, and then,
well, but for all papers, if you want to go just like this community requests and such, like the longer we can get, the better, because then we can get more time to actually request stuff for community. So,
But at least better should
Yeah.
be.
yeah, we need a date though. I prefer earlier, but,
yeah, better two should be fine, I guess.
August 30,
Beta 1, basically.
beta 1.
Do we want to have the UI freeze move to close to beta 2? Maybe with beta 2 freeze?
Better two should be fine, I guess.
Beta 2
Yeah, I mean,
freeze.
documentation string freeze is October 4, so let's give them at least 2 weeks to catch up. So maybe beta 2 freeze seems fine.
Or the week before, maybe September
Yeah.
13th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
UI freeze. So basically move UI freeze down to September 3rd.
2 weeks, I think,
Yeah.
September 13th.
Hello.
Triple boots.
Yeah, I know. So we're going
You have
to,
all the work items.
we're going to be moving 1041 release down.
It just says tension needs to.
Sorry.
No
Keep
worries.
on saying the wrong context. 1241 is going to be moving down into later. We're going to be moving.
So it's going to be moving down,
It's going to be moving down to be coincident with the feature freeze moving in.
so August, later to August 23rd.
And that's when.
Yeah, basically to here, to here.
In addition, I requested that we have constant 0.1 daily images right along the cycle, especially because we'll have new images going in at 0.1. So,
Which is basically just a matter of something in CD image remover and turning it on.
yeah, there's several work items revolving with cron tabs.
Okay.
So he confirmed that we have the QA, like Jenkins can come up with both precise and Quantal data images. So I mean, anything we can get for automatic testing is good.
So, I think, anyone else have anything? Thanks for bringing that up. That they want to see change? Okay. Phil,
Did you already bring up the Python 3 docs, whatever?
Oh,
So Python 3, we are looking at whether Python 3 will be ready for development and we'll explore the timeline on that. It's something that will be landing late.
So the reason we care is that it has one or two things that would make porting to Python 3 a little easier, not massively, but a little bit. So Steve's got the schedule there. That schedule would be okay for us. That would mean we'd get a feature complete version by 2 months ahead of feature freeze. Even if there's a bit of a delay in getting that into the archive, that's still adequate. However, we don't want to be left in a position of shipping a beta, so we only want to do this if we're confident that their release process is proceeding such that the final release isn't going to be delayed too late.
Do we have some history there, like how strict they usually stick to their release plan?
I think Barry has been.
so when do we have the no-go decision on that one?
Right,
So
so
it goes July 27th.
Okay.
If beta 1 is not out by July 27th, which is our API release beta, if I remember correctly. But basically, beta 1 has to be out by July 27th, and if it's not, we stick with Python 3.2. It is out by July 27th, and it stands up in the PTA. It's appropriate to drop in the amendments to get in. And that means that we would like all betas and final up until when needed, because it should be buffers only between beta 1 and the final release.
The final release there is August 25th. If the final release goes, that, if I read that correctly with my plans, that should be.
They're saying final release for August 25th, but if beta 1 happens to land on July 27th, that's about a month's worth of slippage. So we're looking at September sometime for the final. So we're tracking bug fix upstream releases between then and late September.
So we need it by. We really would want to make sure it's in by beta 2 and beta 3 is which one? September.
For the final? Well, I mean, we can't guarantee.
I know, but I'm just trying to think in terms of bounding it based on the slippage expectations. Because we want.
In July 27th, we've done the go, we already have beta 1 upstream in. At that point, we're committed. And so it happens after our beta 2, I think we should still be taking the final release. We should still be RC.
I think it's something that we should construct our own Google Dev such that we can build it.
Okay, so that's the data. What's the beta 2 date?
The beta 2 date is September 27th, the freeze is on the 20th.
Right.
And the issue is, it's only like a week after that. It's on October 11th, is final freeze, that's why. And
So we could
put an image out with it.
We could pull back a week to July 20th, that would probably still be okay.
Okay.
Mr. Waring, we're almost out of time.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Okay. Anything else? And I think I've been putting in action items as we've been going along. The only thing is basically getting the key events added in that we've just been talking about.
Oh yeah, well, I can certainly do the gnome ones.
Okay.
What's the blank workout now?
What?
There's Arsavetti, Fabu, and then...
Oh, sorry, Adlanaro events, Interlock.
Oh,
For you.
Oh, we're gonna have the Connect now, and I think the next Connect, we're gonna have 3 only this year. It's gonna be like co-hosted with UDS.
Yeah. No, it's more the when you're putting your tool chains out, when you're putting.
Oh, okay, not the event itself.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's those. When things are landing for you guys, is that we have some
Oh,
awareness.
that
we can
changed so friendly.
That's why.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's FF rolling? Firefox?
Firefox, it's just Firefox rolling.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't much matter.
whenever it happens. So, I mean, I don't think we should plan on just for this, but yeah.
Okay.
Well, the thing that might affect, I think, the most on the narrow side is the tool chain because of the ARMv8 thing. And 4.7 already started, and I think the V8 related patches should be coming up in the end of this month, the beginning of the next month.
But we're not projecting to have
No, I can indicate you want
it
to-
in Quantal anyway.
Yeah, it was fine.
No, I
We're
mean,
getting
but
ready for it.
yeah.
I'll fix it.
But we could do that.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the most. I think that's the only thing that is kind of critical, mostly. And I don't know if there's any UEFI related work. I need to touch base with the server folks, but I think the only thing that it might be. Sorry.
ARM.
Yeah, because I think the thing that we're going to support soon is that chain load from U-boot to EFI and grub2. So, and I think that should be enough for the next release, at least for
Is
most of
somebody
the
working on
requirements.
the grub side of that?
Yeah.
I think I've got a call on
Yeah, on our side
Oh, well, that's good.
that. Is that grand?
Okay.
as well. Yeah.
Nothing important happened on July 4th.
Okay, I'll go in and update this buddy before the end of today. This is a quiet moment. And then all the other ones can basically update the interlock after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, let's sync after Connect, and we should
Okay.
have a better at the end of this month.
Let's put in action to make sure we do it.
Yeah, sure.
On to the next.
Thank you very much. Thank you next.